local people. Important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We begin this edition of Byline with the comment that we'll be talking about some explicit issues concerning violence, which could be disturbing. With that said, just a few days ago in a small North Carolina town, a man went on a rampage, killing 8 people. Random acts of violence seem to be on the rise, or are they? Our guests both deal with aspects of this issue. Dr. Daryl Irwin is in sociology and criminology at UNCW, and Dr. Rich Ogle is also at UNCW. He's a psychologist with a specialty in aggression and violence. And thank you both for joining us today. I was looking at, I keep up with news, and this piqued my interest back in March when in the same week we had some headlines, and I've got them here. March 10th, Alabama man kills 10. March 11th, teen kills 15 in Germany. March 13th, family slain in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's Columbine, there's Virginia Tech, there's the DC snipers. I guess we start with what's going on. Daryl?
Well, Don, in my classes, which deal with criminology as a subject matter, and in my subject of research, we try to give causal explanations. But in some of these events, they seem so in the moment that we haven't had a great amount of time to reflect on the most recent events. But we can see these type of killings in patterns, which we call, if I could give a short definition of the 3 types of killings that we may talk about today here amongst us. Spree killings, which occur in the when a criminal or a group of criminals are carrying out events that lead up to possibly a killing. Might start with a robbery, and then they may go on and commit a murder or some other subsequent crime in the course of a spree. These that you mentioned today seem to fit in the category of mass murder, which is a single episode where multiple homicide victims have occurred. And then lastly, we would talk about serial killing, which would be also multiple victims, but there would be over time. That would
Bundy, Dahmer, and we're going to talk about that and sort of the mindset of that. Rich, have there always been this kind of violent, random, I call it random, some of it's not, but this type of violence?
Yeah, I think if you look back over time, that this is nothing new. And although we may not be able to kind of predict the patterns, these things do seem to have a particular pattern to them. And if you look throughout history, in some senses, although we may be focusing more on these types of episodes, people have been doing this to each other for quite a long time.
Do we hear about it more now because we have such access to what's going on with the 24/7 news cycles and the need for material to sort of hit the breaking news button?
Well, of course we hear about it more because we do have, our vast array of channels on cable TV, internet, and all other forms of communication. And it seems that some of the perpetrators, the murderers themselves, use that idea that they will be media figures to somehow plan their killing at, I don't want to say during a news cycle or anything, but they plan their killing for optimal coverage. And we saw that with the Virginia Tech killer, Mr. Cho, I think was his name. He left a videotape of his plans and what he was about to do and how he would carry it out, and some what we would generally call ranting about his crime that he was planning.
So you think people actually want to become famous or want to make history by committing acts like this? Is there a motivation there?
Yeah, I would imagine that in some cases it might be conceptualized in that way, where the person is looking at being famous or making history. But I think on on a more mundane level, I guess I would say, is that you can see that in a lot of ways, especially as Daryl says about the Virginia Tech killings, is that this is kind of a distorted way of meaning finding. Is that individuals often who go on these types of sprees and end up killing a number of people, or people who are struggling very much in their lives with some pathological issue, mental illness, frustration, anger, and it's a distortion of what we do in our lives, this sense of needing to find meaning, and to do it in a very graphic way. In some senses, you can think about this as a kind of new way or a more popular way to commit suicide. Individuals who have the problems going on that lead people to kill themselves or have killed themselves throughout history are doing it seemingly more in this way.
Is there more of it now, or is there no way to tell? I mean,
yeah, I was reading something this week in relation to all the incidents that we've been witnessing, and the Center for Violence Studies in Washington said that there seems to be a rise between 1980 onward in mass killings, and they seem to see a more of an uptick during the downturn in the economy.
Really?
Criminologists have always said that the factor of being unemployed or you know, in somewhat precarious economic state was not a major factor in whether somebody would become, you know, would carry out this type of crime, homicide. Right. Certainly it is in robbery and, you know, other lesser crime, shoplifting, let's say. But today, with the economy downturn, we are seeing this uptick in violent in these killings, and there may be a link, but right now it's still to be studied.
Yeah.
I believe.
We're going to talk about what part the media plays in all of this when we come back with our discussion on random acts of violence. Stay with us. We'll be right back.